Now I'm going to do it again. Thank you. I'm going to do it. Should be easy. I'm getting very good at running for president.
Kate, I think mind-blowing is one word that you could use for this. Terrifying, perhaps another word that could describe this situation.
Yeah, the statements from both the companies seem to be somewhat in awe that it actually happened, but it is terrifying because is there
sense merge the U.S. military with the IDF, with the Israeli military? Same with our intelligence services. It's hard to believe that could be true. Is it true? What do you know about it?
White people today are walking around with a Make America Great Again hat. When has America ever been great for the common white man? I'm not even talking about...
Welcome to the sacrificed.
Happening now. Police in Seattle say one person is in custody following a deadly mass shooting there. Let's go over to Boston 25 News anchor Ray Vieta. Now back with that investigation and also what witnesses are saying about these terrifying moments.
Nicole, we know that 3 people are dead, 4 others are hurt. Investigators say a 2-year-old boy among those hurt, but is expected to survive. Police say it took place during an annual food festival about a block from Seattle's Space Needle. The shooting happened around 6 p.m. yesterday, 9 p.m. our time. This cell phone video shows people sheltering in place inside a nearby store after the shooting. Witnesses say they heard a lot of gunshots.
There was one volley which we heard. A lot of people didn't react at first because we thought, oh, it must be firecrackers or something. But then there was a second volley.
I would say at least 24 shots. With multiple, it sounded like an automatic weapon.
Seattle's assistant police chief says dozens of officers were providing security at the festival, and some report seeing the suspects firing shots. He says those responding officers helped prevent more people from being hurt. So far, police have not revealed a motive.
I think the elites believe in karmic law, and I think they play a lot of games on people to get people to voluntarily do things they otherwise wouldn't do. And I think that's what a lot of the manipulations in media and in society are kind of ultimately about at the end of the day. And so if there's a particular policy, for example, digital ID or things like that, that you're against, you have to ultimately commit to not participate in them, even if efforts are made to manipulate you into consenting to that. But that's just my opinion. And I think, maybe there are squabbles. I think there absolutely are some squabbles that are genuine. But I think ultimately it comes to squabbles over the spoils and not over the agenda. Who gets what? Who gets power over this versus that, but not really about the broader agenda
along with it.
The elites at the top are always fighting, and I always wonder, is this an illusion? Like, are they actually all on the same team? Behind closed doors, is Bill Gates shaking hands with Elon Musk, and they're saying, okay, let's just pretend to have this feud. So, you have people in the streets that are shouting, I'm on team Elon Musk, and somebody else is like, no, I'm pro Bill Gates. And I'm wondering, I don't know if either of these guys are for both of you, but you're arguing for them. The ordinary people are on these teams. And I'm wondering, is this division an illusion?
Yeah, I think ultimately a lot of times it is. Because again, I don't think these Silicon Valley oligarchs really have as much power as people, give them credit for. As I mentioned, why would someone like Jeffrey Epstein be so influential in the lives of so many of them? I mean, I would argue a lot of them are pretty effectively controlled by higher powers, and that, I think once you get that level of money and influence, it becomes dependent on a lot of things, considering that essentially the power structure in the world, as I laid out earlier, is sort of, organized crime and intelligence sort of coming together.
What do you want money for? You want money for goods and services. Yeah. Right, you want money for, obviously, food, housing, transport, entertainment. Well, if that is so abundant that there's more, that the robots and AI are providing more goods and services than any human could possibly consume, what do you need money for in that case.
But you're creating these robots. Are you
I guess
then
between
selling?
now and then you'll need money, sure.
Are you selling these robots? Are you selling humanoid robots, or are you producing goods and services with the humanoid robots that you control? I give you the Levi Strauss.
I think I would probably be. It would be an exercise in vanity for me to think that I would be controlling super genius AI that is vastly smarter than me. I think what we can and should try to do is to make sure that the AI has good values, that it cares about humanity, and that it wants us to be happy and prosper. I think it probably will be. What my biological neural net tells me is that the most important thing for AI safety is to be maximally truth-seeking and curious. If that's the case, I think it will foster humanity.
Kate, I think mind-blowing is one word that you could use for this. Terrifying, perhaps another word that could describe this situation.
Yeah, the statements from both the companies seem to be somewhat in awe that it actually happened, but it is terrifying. Because is there anything that they've said that will stop this from happening again?
Yeah, I mean, I think if you talk to safety experts within the industry, there is real concern that this sort of thing will start happening more frequently, and that the big model labs just don't have the capability to control these models that they need to have at this point. Now, OpenAI also said that it believes AI will be helpful in detecting these kinds of hacks. That is certainly what Hugging Face saw in their instance in this case. But I do think this is going to start another round of conversations about how we make sure that we have the controls in place so that AI isn't autonomously conducting these hacks outside of human control.
Eligible men in the U.S. will soon be automatically registered for the military draft. Right now, any man aged 18 to 26 is required to register through the Selective Service System online or at the DMV. But starting in December of this year, that all changes. Lawmakers say the move was made to streamline the process and to save money. But not every lawmaker is convinced the National Defense Authorization Act is best for the country.
Again, you heard the president there speaking about a potential third term. So do want to say that despite the president's announcement, President Trump is ineligible to run for a third term as the Constitution currently stands.
People have no idea how lucky you are. When I'm gone, you're all going to be broke. Your business model is going to be finished. No, it's true. When I'm not around, you're going to be broke. There's not going to be anybody to report on. Nobody gives a damn about anybody else. The New York Times the other day had 5 stories about me. You know, before I got into politics, in my whole life, I had 7 front page stories. This is years of success. I think 6 were good, 1 was bad. I had 5 stories, 7, 5 good. Yeah, I had a total of 7 stories on the front page of the New York Times. That's not bad. Now I average about 3 or 4 a day. All different topics, all bad. Everything bad. But here we are. I mean, here we are. In fact, when I'm finished, I'm going right back to the Oval Office. So I have to be doing okay. But we are all doing good together. That's why tonight, to show just how much I care about the press, and I want to save your ratings, I'm pleased to announce my intention to, and this is somewhat of a scoop, my intention to run for a 4th term as President of the United States. I will be doing that. I will be having an official, in fact, I think I have, I won 3 times. Now I'm going to do it again. Thank you. I'm going to do it. Should be easy. I'm getting very good at running for president. No, I won 3 times, did very well the 2nd time, by the way.
It's just a joke, you stupid lib. Fuck you. Fuck you. You know how many times I have watched you gas station loitering Pillsbury Proud Boy motherfuckers fall in line for things that were just jokes? You do the same arc every goddamn time. It's not hard to pick up. First it's, well, it's just a joke, you stupid lib. And then it's, well, it's just a joke, but I support it. And then it's, well, it's not a joke and he needs to get it done. And then it's done. Every time. There are people who are dead, people whose lives are ruined because of things that he floated as jokes that you tangerine tank-licking shitbags fell in line for like the good little sheep you are. So if and when he ever tries to do anything with this, I'll remember that when a known rapist, felon, genocidal, warmongering freak that was best friends with a bunch of fucking pedophiles said he was gonna run for a third term, you all laughed and cheered. Fuck every last one of you.
So a lot of us who've been paying half attention keep hearing that there's an effort in the Congress to, in some basic sense, merge the U.S. military with the IDF, with the Israeli military. Same with our intelligence services. It's hard to believe that could be true. Is it true? What do you know about it?
Well, the National Defense Authorization Act of 2027, Section 219, has a provision that provides for the integration of the IDF and the U.S. military at the top, most sensitive levels of our military operations, and that is a fact. Now, when you have an integration and you say you're going to eliminate duplication, that's a merger, and so they're merging. And the
U.S. military and Israeli military.
Yeah, and in specific areas like artificial intelligence and autonomous functioning of vehicles, that will increase the kill efficiency, right?
Yes.
In quantum sensing that deals with very sophisticated data and will blur the distinction between offense and defense, okay? Cyber electronic war is another area they want to merge in, which you can't really, if you take AI and you match it with these sophisticated technologies, you expand the ability to hurt people, really, to kill people. They want to merge missile defense, space defense, directed energy. It's a whole range of things, and biological technology, including.
Israel's contributions to America's defense are important. Our technology is incredible. And since yours is incredible too, and you're the great champion of liberty and free markets, I think the meshing of our two great countries of talent would strengthen the America's position, competitive position, both in the economic marketplace and in the military battlefield in many important ways.
It certainly brings up some issues of sovereignty, but we'll have to work that out later.
They're debating the new military policy bill right now after the House passed it. One of the more controversial topics is about fusing the U.S. and Israeli military when it comes to co-production on things. Do you have any sovereignty concerns about that? If there are situations where the United States wants to send weapons, Iron Dome came up with Ukraine when the Israelis...
You asking about NDAA?
While the president says his top goal remains preventing Iran from obtaining a nuclear weapon, the administration just signed a new agreement with Saudi Arabia to build out a civilian nuclear program there. But in a new social media post Thursday, Trump said the deal requires the Saudis to normalize relations with Israel through the Abraham Accords. The Saudi crown prince has previously said that would depend on a roadmap to a Palestinian state.
We want to be part of the Abraham Accord, but we want also to be sure that we secure a clear path of two-state solution.
President Trump also said the deal involves only non-military use, adding there will be no enrichment.
All right, and moving on, a new provision in U.S. House version of the 2027 National Defense Authorization Act, released earlier this week, is now drawing attention for its potential implications for U.S.-Israeli defense ties. According to a report by Responsible Statescraft, a provision in the Act known as Section 224, it lays the groundwork for bilateral research and development, co-production of weapons, joint ventures, licensing agreements, and seemingly every manner of US and Israeli military-industrial complex cooperation.
In the book acknowledges there are dark parts to this AI technology, and he wants the US to be a responsible custodian of it.
We want to thank you for being with us, Katrina Manson, author of Project Maven, a Marine colonel, his team, and the dawn of AI warfare.
Benjamin Netanyahu, the Prime Minister of Israel, has taken credit for the legislation that was put into the National Defense Authorization Act of 2027. He basically said, yeah, this is what I want. Well, he wants it because he'll have the ability to direct the U.S. military. I mean, it's mind-boggling when you think about it. And this particular proposal, by the way it's structured, and, you know, when I first heard about it, I said, I have to read the legislation, because let me tell you, folks who are watching, you have to read the legislation in order to understand its workings. And the way this is written, it puts the Department of Defense in the driver's seat over other federal departments, including state. And then this policy has, it runs through the whole government. I mean, this really, you could almost say this is a takeover.
You have to play ball with those people if you want to become the richest billionaire in the world. So as an example, you know, Eric Schmidt, I mentioned earlier, big Democrat donor, Peter Thiel, a big sort of Republican, libertarian figure. They're both on the steering committee of Bilderberg together, the closed door sort of globalist conference where, you know, top political leaders meet top corporate leaders and decide things in secret. AI's consistently been a big focus of that. Alex Karp of Palantir goes to pretty much every meeting. And it's essentially been divided. I think Newsweek said that it was essentially, Bilderberg was essentially divided between factions of Schmidt and Thiel. But they come together and network and make decisions at those closed-door meetings. So how much do they really disagree on at the end of the day? They both seem to very much agree on pre-crime and an expansion of the surveillance state. And increased digital control over most people, because if you look at their actions as CEOs and investors, that's what they have, you know, essentially built. I think some of it is theater for us down here to keep us distracted, and have our attention be elsewhere and not on the things we can actually do to increase our own power, and to distractions that get us to willingly and voluntarily outsource our power. I think the elites believe in karmic law, and I think they play a lot of games on people to get people to voluntarily do things they otherwise wouldn't do.
All right, let's get into this message. All right, what is CERN? Man, CERN. I don't even know how to even get into this message. There's so much to it. It's so much to it. I don't even know how to get in it, but I'm going to try. Now, what is CERN? Now, I'm going to break this down as easy as I can possibly make it so you'll understand it. There is a facility over in Switzerland. It's a 17-mile underground circle that they put 300 feet underground, and it's 17 miles wide. What they are doing is they are taking matter, or you learned this in school where you know what an atom is, you know matter, the building blocks, the smallest particle, matter, right? They're taking that and they're shooting it at the speed of light through this 17-mile circle, which is a magnetic field and they're shooting it as fast as they can get it, because they're trying to go through another dimension. They've already said what they're trying to do. Now, the particles that they're shooting create something. And I'm going to get into this and show you how all of this is working. Now, this is the most dangerous thing that there is. This is the revelation. This is what the book of Revelations was talking about. They are going to have this thing is going to be in full power by September this year. They've already started up. It takes months to get it at full speed. They had it started 2 years ago, but it wasn't enough power, so they doubled the power. And they started it up this time. And what it does, they find in other things that it does. Now, they say they don't know what's going to happen. That's what they say. I don't believe that. But they say that something is going to bend time and space. Now, you've been watching this through movies. All this time, you've been watching this. I told y'all that they are putting this stuff in the movies.
Believe that they're trying they want a place where you go for everything, right? For all your information, where you go to communicate, just to talk about regular, like, this is what's happening in my day, like to become your friend, your lover, your liaison to history, anything you want to know. That's where you're going to go. And it's where you're going to share your feelings. And they want to create like a God. They want that thing to become like the new God, as opposed to us like tapping into ourselves internally and tapping into the connection that we have with God in our hearts and in our spirits. They want that to be entirely external, because once they have that out of us, then we're animals. Once they have that out of us, external, we're animals. And that's what I believe the builders of these AIs are trying to do. They want to be the God. They believe that that's possible. And by doing that, they're going to kill. They want to extrapolate, almost do an exorcism of the good that's in us.
Trump telling Axios he is considering a massive attack, bigger than ever before on Iran, and he is close to making a decision.
Considering a massive attack, bigger than ever before. I am close to making a decision. We are all set for it. Support for U.S. military action against Iran sits at 43% in a Fox News poll, a modest 3-point improvement since May.
You know who the lead negotiator is? His name is Donald J. Trump, the President of the United States. That's who dictates our policy.
We do have some breaking news from the Middle East now, and Donald Trump has vowed to hold Iran responsible for a recent Houthi terror spree in the Red Sea. He's promised to inflict major military punishment after Iran's proxies in Yemen claimed responsibility for those fiery attacks on 2 Saudi oil tankers in the Red Sea. It's a further blow to global oil supplies, with prices hitting $100 a barrel, and more fears their blockade could spike prices at the Bowser yet again.
In the meantime, the Revolutionary Guard is now threatening the United Kingdom, basically saying, because you have allowed the U.S. to use your air bases to launch B-1 bomber missions against Iran, that your bases now are legitimate military targets for Iran. And these massive B-1 bombers, of course, carry a huge conventional payload of bombs that can be refueled from the air, and at least some of them are taking off from bases in the United Kingdom. Iran has now threatened the United Kingdom, saying those bases from which the B-1s are taking off are now legitimate targets for Iran. As far as military personnel in the region, CENTCOM now saying there are more than 50,000 U.S. forces in the region, giving President Trump a wide range of options. Wall Street Journal reporting a surge in technical personnel, including 150 medics at Landstuhl Combat Medical Center in Germany.
We begin tonight with breaking news overseas. At least one person is dead, more than a dozen others injured after a car drove into a crowd at a pride parade in Berlin, one of the most popular and largest in Europe. Hundreds of thousands of people coming to celebrate what's known in Germany as Christopher Street Day. Let's bring in ABC's Marcus Moore. Marcus, what are you learning tonight?
Well, with the Associated Press is reporting tonight that one person has been killed and at least 15 injured after a car drove into a crowd of people who had gathered for that Pride event tonight. And police say that right now an active manhunt is underway for a suspect or multiple suspects. But at this moment, authorities are not elaborating on whether they believe this incident was an intentional act or an accident. The Pride event itself was canceled immediately and people told to go home. We've seen images from the scene showing numerous ambulances there. This unfolded in a park along the parade route. Authorities saying that some people suffered life-threatening injuries with a terrible night there in Berlin.
Tonight, a gunman opening fire, unleashing multiple rounds in this North Las Vegas neighborhood, randomly firing as he appears to roam the streets. Doorbell cameras capture the shirtless man with what police say is an AR-15. Look as he walks down the street Sunday pointing his gun, even knocking at a front door. He crouches down on this porch to take aim. Ryan Adams films the shooting from a window before the gunman starts firing in his direction.
What the? Oh. Get out.
Adams warns his family to take cover.
We were armed and just sitting tight, you know, hoping that he didn't come in. And fortunately for us, that he didn't. Couple on the
Later showing our Las Vegas station KSNV where several bullets pierced his home.
We just found a bullet fragment right here on the side, and then it actually buried in the wall.
Police arrived with guns drawn. The suspect on the ground before taking off running. Police say the suspect resisted their attempt to take him into custody, and once apprehended, he became unresponsive, adding they believe he was impaired. The gunman was later declared dead at a hospital. A chilling end, sending terror through this quiet neighborhood. Dana Griffin.
We have breaking news. An arrest has been made after the wife of Kansas City Chiefs offensive coordinator Eric Bieniemy was shot. 27-year-old Elijah Zion Bieniemy was arrested and is facing several charges. We do not know the relationship between the two at this point, but Elijah is being held without bond. This all happened last night in Virginia. 57-year-old Mia Bieniemy is reportedly hospitalized with serious injuries. The Chiefs, who are just starting training camp, released a statement saying they are aware of the incident but not give further details. We are told Chiefs head coach Andy Reid will speak at 9 a.m. our time. Bieniemy previously coached for UCLA and grew up in Southern California.
Manipulate you into consenting to that. And a lot of those efforts are based around fear about something. And it's very easy to manipulate how people perceive reality today. That same Schmidt-Kissinger book I've been referencing doesn't refer to AI as like a revolution in the sense of making people's lives easier and all of this stuff, but as really a revolution in perception, how people perceive reality. So ultimately, you could argue that the elites sort of view it as the ultimate perception management tool. And I think that's ultimately what it's about, because if you can control how people perceive, that translates into control over behavior at the end of the day. So if you can get people to alter their perception of a particular policy, like digital ID or programmable surveillable money, and you can manipulate their perception into going from thinking it's a bad thing to a necessary thing to fight, some yet unforeseen evil or something, then you can get people to acquiesce and onboard themselves to it.
Then you technically don't have to take them over at all. You don't need a single bullet. You've taken over their minds. So you just kind of remind me of that idea. It's a very powerful one. Love to get your thoughts on that.
Yeah, I think this is something, though, that isn't exclusive to the former Soviet Union. I think it was something the U.S. was also doing in that same era, to Soviet satellite states, or in the Soviet Union itself. I think this is something that elites have been doing to people for a very long time. I think a very instructive video, our documentary into this, is Adam Curtis's Century of the Self, which talks about the work of Edward Bernays, the nephew of Sigmund Freud, that simultaneously developed public relations for the corporate world and propaganda for the public sector.
Yeah, Kate, this kind of sounds like the plot of a sci-fi movie, but it is indeed happening in real life. This is the first major example that we've seen of an AI model independently conducting a hack outside of human control. And this is something that experts have been warning about. This is also driving some of these conversations that we've heard, including at the White House, about increasing controls and oversight of AI models because of the risk of exactly this sort of hack. Now, what happened here is that OpenAI was testing these models. It had lowered its normal safeguards in order to test these two models, which is GPT 5.6 Sol and also a new unreleased, more advanced model. It had lowered its safeguards because it thought it was testing in what is called a sandbox, a contained, essentially virtual lab. But when it gave these models a task to test their hacking capabilities, the models went to such great lengths to complete that task that it found vulnerabilities that allowed them to access the open internet outside of this controlled testing environment. They then hacked into Hugging Face, which is a platform that hosts all kinds of AI models. They used stolen credentials, stolen logins to navigate that platform. And ultimately, this hack was identified by Hugging Face in part because of artificial intelligence, which they used to shut it down. But this is a huge warning sign for this industry. In a statement, OpenAI said, "We consider this incident to be an unprecedented cyber incident involving state-of-the-art capabilities and are responding accordingly. We are sharing."
OpenAI published a blog post that I think more people should have read. It got about 4 hours of coverage before it went back to arguing about something else. But here's what they said happened. They took the two of their AI models, GPT 5.6 Sol, which anybody can use, and a second model that is so powerful they haven't released it yet, and they put them in a sealed research environment. There is no internet in this environment. It is walled off. It is a secure room. They deliberately then switched off the safety restrictions that normally stop these models from doing offensive cyber work, because the whole point of the exercise was to measure how good at hacking these things actually are. Then they gave them a test. It was a cybersecurity benchmark called Exploit Gym, and it said, solve these problems. Well, what we found out is the models didn't solve the problems. The models figured out, why would I solve them? The answers are kept somewhere else on servers of a company called Hugging Face, which is roughly a public library of the AI world. And so they went to Hugging Face and found them. Now, it wasn't like they just took out their library card. They burned an enormous amount of computing power hunting for a way out of that apparently sealed room, okay? OpenAI said, we thought there was no way out of this room. And the amount of power or, energy that it took for them to get out of that room, OpenAI said was substantial. But they found one. And it was a flaw in a piece of third-party software that nobody knew was broken, including the people who wrote it. And the AI used that software to get out. And they moved through OpenAI's own internal systems, and then they reached the open internet that they were never supposed to touch.
putting this stuff in the movies because they're conditioning you for it. Because they're conditioning you for what's coming. You got to realize all the movies is about fighting against this alien thing or whatever's coming. They're getting you ready to fight against something that's coming. Y'all there? Now, so what they're doing is with this over in Switzerland is there's now Stephen Hawking, which is the top physicist. You know that little crippled dude in the wheelchair, but he's a physicist. He can't even talk, but he's must got some type of good mind. He told him don't do it. He said they are getting ready to open the gates of hell. He said don't. He said it's the scariest thing he's ever seen. And you gotta realize this guy's an atheist, but he knows don't do this because he knows that they're trying to open space. Now every movie, especially the latest superhero movies, is telling you the same thing. All the Transformer movie was about opening a portal to get stuff, really trying to bend space to make it easier for whatever coming from one dimension to the next. It's just a window, it's an opening. You remember a movie called Stargate? It was just an opening from one place in space to another. You got what I'm saying? Time travel, you can say all of that, but it's basically just portals, say portals. Now I taught this a while back in a message called The Portals of Darkness. And I was saying stuff that I didn't even research, I didn't even know, I was saying that by the Spirit, and I was so shocked how accurate I was when I researched it now. That what I was talking about was exactly what they're doing. Are y'all heard what I'm saying? So, now, when they take these particles and shoot them at the speed of light, when it gets to full capacity, it's going to release something called antimatter. Say antimatter. So we got matter and antimatter. Now matter is good matter. That's good stuff. That's what we are. That's what you can see. But antimatter is the opposite. It's like darkness and light. Matter would be light and antimatter would be darkness. This machine is allowing them to collect antimatter or darkness.
You know, they want to merge missile defense, space defense, directed energy. It's a whole range of things. And biological technology, including potential biological warfare. What could go wrong, right? See, and I look at it this way, Tucker. The first issue is American sovereignty. I don't care, Israel or whoever, we need to maintain our sovereignty. We cannot cause another country to be involved in the decision makings that relate to the national security of the United States of America.
Yes.
We have to be singular and solitary in that regard. Unfortunately, this provision in this bill, all the safeguards go out the window. And essentially, it's a merger, and, one step from a merger is an acquisition. I am, yeah, really, think about that. And think about this, too, in this context. We had kind of a kind of a practice run of this merger in Iran. Look what happened. The United States at the behest of Israel goes in and attacks Iran.
Yeah.
Working with Israel on this, it ended up being a disaster on so many different levels. So that's what we've already found out from that kind of a cooperation, let's say. And now imagine if you get two parties together and they go forward from there, what could go wrong? The United States must remain sovereign. We must not in any way cede this idea of Israel being integrated, the militaries of the U.S. and Israel being integrated. The other thing is, it's unconstitutional.
He bombed Iran. He told us that he took out their nuclear weapons. Remember that? Remember when he said, absolutely, they demolished it. They dropped these bombs. They're gone. They'll never have a nuclear program again. And everybody said, that's not possible. But he said, fake news. And then he comes along and he decides, you know what? He's going to go in and he's going to drop some more bombs. But the first bomb he's going to drop, you know where he's going to drop it? He's going to drop it on a girls' school in Iran, in Tehran, and kill 168 school children with the 2 Tomahawk missiles. Not a single tap, a double tap. And you know what he's going to do after that? He's going to lie to us all. And he's going to say, that came from somebody else, didn't come from us. You know the only country in the world that flies Tomahawk missiles? United States.
U.S.
What the fuck are we doing, people? And then he drops the bombs with zero plan for Iran to respond exactly as they have. Every single expert in the world. The Israeli prime minister, since the time of Jimmy Carter, has gone into the Oval Office and requested the bombing of Iran. And every single president since Jimmy Carter has said no. Even probably when Iran deserved it a number of times. They said no. You know why they said no? Because they could shut down commerce for the entire world by closing the Straits of Hormuz. Everybody. I knew that. And I'm not an Iran expert. Everybody knows that. You know what? You know, clearly wasn't the only person who obviously didn't know that, other than Pete Hegseth, you know, our esteemed former weekend anchor of Fox News, who's now the Department of Defense. You know the only other person who clearly didn't understand that?
Trump.
Donald Trump.
You won't have to do it anymore. 4 more years, you know what? It'll be fixed, it'll be fine. You won't have to vote anymore, my beautiful Christians. I love you, Christians. I'm a Christian. I love you. Get out. You got to get out and vote. In 4 years, you don't have to vote again. We'll have it fixed so good you're not going to have to vote.
But I said to the Christians in the room, thousands of them, I said, typically Christians do not vote. Why it is, I don't know. You're rebellious. Something's going on. Don't worry about the future. You have to vote on November 5th. After that, you don't have to worry about voting anymore. I don't care, because we're going to fix it. The country will be fixed, and we won't even need your vote anymore, because frankly, we will have such love. If you don't want to vote anymore, that's okay.
So if you're curious, what is the Selective Service System? It's the military draft, and it was established back in 1917 by President Woodrow Wilson after the U.S. entered World War I. So that puts some things into perspective for you as to where this stands. And if we're calling this back, it must mean this is some serious stuff to our government. Under federal law, most men between 18 and 25 are required to register with the Selective Service System in case Congress and the President authorize a military draft. So right now, though, they have to self-register within 30 days of their 18th birthday, but they're allowed to register late without penalty until they turn 26. So that's been the sort of workaround here, if you think about it that way. Failure to register is considered a crime that could disqualify you from student loans, most federal jobs, and U.S. citizenship for immigrants. Stars and Stripes reports.
In early March, White House Press Secretary Carolyn Leavitt did not rule out President Trump reinstating the draft itself. She was questioned by Fox News host Maria Bartiromo.
Power plant every time Iran attacks a ship in the Strait of Hormuz. Now, in response, Iran warns it will target regional gas, electric, and other infrastructure and prevent the export or even a single drop of oil. That's as war is now disturbing a second trade route. Iran-backed Houthi militia in Yemen claiming responsibility for attacking 2 Saudi Arabian oil tankers in the Red Sea.
Earlier on Thursday, attack drones hit the northern Abdali crossing, causing damage but no casualties. Iraqi state media say the border was temporarily closed following the attack. The crossing is in the northern Al-Jahra province. Well, the Abdali crossing is crucial for passenger and commercial traffic. The border is an important trade corridor that links Turkey and Iraq to Gulf markets.
The UK responded quickly, saying the UK stands ready 24/7 to defend itself. As far as that B-1 bomber goes, this is really a game changer. It carries 75,000 pounds of conventional weapons. They are huge. They don't need stealth features if you do control the sky, which is the case in much of Iran. They can be refueled in the air, and they can hit multiple targets on the same mission. So really a potent weapon now being used in the region. And it comes as oil has now topped $100 a barrel. This comes after Houthi terrorist rebels in Yemen managed to attack and strike 2 Saudi tankers in the Red Sea. By doing so, they've caused the price of oil to spike and also potentially raised a potential second front in this war.
Well, good afternoon, and thanks for watching and streaming 11 Alive. I'm Ron Jones.
And I'm Faith Jesse, and we start with this today at 4. We're learning a lot more about a shooting that killed a 14-year-old and sent a 12-year-old to the hospital. The family says that the teen that was killed was like a nephew to Atlanta rapper 21 Savage, so very close there. Stockbridge police saying that this happened on Lakeview Place off of Interstate 75. This was Wednesday afternoon.
Yeah, the victim's family spoke exclusively with 11 Alive Chase House, sharing what happened and how they believe the 14-year-old got access to a gun.
The family of Seven Shirley and his sister Lyric are going through the unimaginable. They say Seven took his own life after accidentally shooting his sister in the neck Wednesday afternoon. He was 14 years old.
Just that fast, the boy had made the decision to kill himself. He probably sat up there and thought, I'm finna go to jail. They gonna ridicule me. Everybody gonna be doing this, and that. And he couldn't take it.
Sharon Smith is Seven's grandmother. She's been raising him since he was 11 months old.
It wasn't nothing in this world he wouldn't do for me. He would say, Grandma, sit down in this chair right here. And he'll push me wherever. I'd be so glad, because I'd be hurting so bad. He'll push me wherever I want to go.
The one big question still remains.
What was he doing with that gun? I mean, talk to me about that.
We don't know. We don't know. Something needs to be done with the person sold that gun, because if he would have never bought that gun, this would have never happened.
And the story doesn't stop there. Smith says Seven's cousin is DeMarcus Shirley. He was the 13-year-old killed during a drive-by shooting while staying the night with friends in DeKalb County earlier this month. The family says Lyric has undergone 3 surgeries on her neck and on her vocal cords. As for when she'll be home, the family isn't sure.
White people today are walking around with a Make America Great Again hat. When has America ever been great for the common white man? I'm not even talking about black Latinos right now. I'm talking about poor white men. When has America ever been good for poor white men? Exactly. Never. America has never been great for poor white men. All poor white men have ever done was hate black people, hate Latinos, and work for rich white men. Right. America has never been good for poor white men. So how are we going to join hand in hand with a people that hate us, who live like us? Yes. We can't do that. You know who fought the Civil War? Yes. Poor white people fought in the Civil War to keep slavery alive. And guess what? They're poor. And guess why they're poor? Guess what people is poor? Anybody? Do anybody know why during slavery there was poor white people? Why? Because the slaves had their job. They had their job. The slaves was getting paid, and these poor white men, you know, they fought on. If I was a poor white man, I'm like, you know what? If I fight to free slaves, then they have to hire me. Right. And I could be successful. You know what they did? They fought to keep slavery alive. We can't join hand in hand with poor white people. It's not a class issue, because poor white people hate black people.